Canal H2O TV presenta Taller Arte y Cultura, arte, cine, ecología, literatura, música y danza.
Creando conciencia a través del cine y las artes para el medio ambiente.
To be in solidarity with them in our own neighborhoods, in our own backyards. Up in Minnesota, the water protectors and land defenders have been chaining themselves to bulldozers because they have been, dealing with the police who are trying to arrest them and to prevent them from stopping to protect the land, to protect the waters up in their territory. Up in Minnesota is where they grow natural wild rice. And if this pipeline goes through, the wild rice will be contaminated. It will be impacted by the oil. It's not an if, it's not a matter of if, it's actually a matter of when that oil spills. And this is where the indigenous people solely depend on the food that Mother Earth provides them. So we're here today to stand in solidarity with them. Right now they're to my left, outside of the Oakland Federal Building.
What's your name and what's going on today?
My name is Sister Who Walks with Bears. My colonized name is Marge Grow Epford. I'm full-blood Miwok from California, and I'm here to stand in solidarity against Line 3. Any pipeline that rapes our Mother Earth and tears through her veins, the indigenous people will be there to try and stop it.
What's wrong with the Line 3 pipeline?
It's killing us. The fracking. We don't need to be fracking. Why can't we go to more sustainable ways to live like we did hundreds of years ago? And it worked perfect. We didn't need the oil. We kept it in the soil. We totally respected what Mother Earth provided for us, not this man-made crap that they're doing now to destroy the people.
If Joe Biden is watching this, remembering that he said through the campaign, I will not ban fracking, is there anything that you'd like him to hear from us?
I'd like to have a sit-down with him and the elders and the grandmothers' councils, because we are a matriarchal society, and he needs to come to us women, the sacred life givers, the childbearers, and speak with us in a good way, a respectful way, and we will show respect to him too. But if he wants to continue doing this, he's not going to get any support from us. And, people of color have never been listened to, and the women are coming in strong.
Good. Now, what are we hoping will happen today from this effort?
I am hoping, because I'm president of Missing Murdered Indigenous Women and People of California, that we will not have this anymore, that the laws will become stricter on these abusers and murderers, rapists, molesters, and that doesn't mean just the normal Joe that walks around on the streets. We're talking about politicians, judges, police, priests. All of these are guilty of doing that, and it has traumatized many generations, and they hold that. It's a historical intergenerational trauma that we carry, and so what I hope to see from this is that the higher ups start passing stiffer laws against this and give us search and rescue teams that we can go in and find our people, and the repatriation of the bones. And they have to make things right, because when you start raping a woman, you're also raping Mother Earth. And that kind of misogynistic attitude is what's gotten us into a lot of trouble for hundreds of years. So give it back to the women, and we are more than happy to educate and teach how to live a good way.
Now, I know that some of these drilling sites and fracking sites are near where people live. What happens when they're that close to where people live?
It kills people. The water is no good, the soil is no good to plant food. Children are either being born stillborn or deformed, and they keep saying it's not from that. But when you pollute water that we are mostly made of, and that waters are vegetables and waters are animals, it is in us also. So, you know, with GMOs and all that happening and spraying, that's another thing with Monsanto trying to kill us. So the government knows exactly how to do germ warfare, I think, you know, with what's going on with the pandemic also. They're trying to kill us all.
And what would you like to ask people at home watching this video what they can do right now to help?
Get in the streets. Start standing in solidarity with us. Stop hitting us like the government does against Republican, Democrat, black, white, male, female. Yes, we have to have that polarity, but we can actually do it in a good way, a good respectful way to each other. And people get on board and ask us questions. We are more than happy to come to the table, but nobody ever asks us what is our point of view of how to heal Mother Earth and our people. They just think that we don't know anything, and a lot of people don't even realize Native Americans are still alive. And when they see things on the news, they call us renegades, savages, and all that, because we are truly from the earth, and we want to remain that way for the next 7 generations.
Do you think that when people do that, they're really terrified of the power that comes from the earth? Because that's the hardest thing.
I think people mostly live in fear, and that's the way the government wants us to live in fear, that everything is going to come to an end, and if you don't start stealing from other people and taking from them, it's what they have instilled in people's minds is a travesty. And I don't live in fear. I refuse to live in fear. I know what that feels like. But when a man takes the responsibility to be a warrior and protect us, stand up and be that warrior and protect us. And with the MMIW, we just became sanctioned as American Indian Movement, Foothills, Central California. It's mostly women-led. So we have combined with missing, murdered Indigenous women and people of California to educate. We don't come in as angry and you owe us anything. We just want to sit at the table, and for all of the big top executives and lawmakers to sit with us. And I think they're in fear of us, of what we're going to say, because they truly believe in the history books that was taught to us in schools. It was all a lie. Christopher Columbus, all of that. And he says he discovered America. No, he didn't. But he raped. Mount Rushmore is full of presidents' heads up there that had slaves and murdered indigenous people. So when does that stop? When we stop putting monuments up for men and they honor them. And those statues have got to come down because we go spiritual. We're spiritual beings trying to be human, not human beings trying to be spiritual. So we've lost something along the way of walking our red road in a good way.
Now, I've read a couple of different articles interviewing the very, very richest people in the world. I'd like you to listen to what they said and then tell me what you would please say to them if they were here. So first of all, the guy who co-founded a PayPal and Lyft, he's a multi-billionaire, and he tells his friends that as society falls apart and the place is too polluted to live, he's got this teenage boy fantasy about fighting his way on his motorcycle to his airport, where he has a long-range aircraft that he is going to fly to his mansion in New Zealand, where he has a bunker that you can only find with GPS, and he's going to live there forever. That's Peter Thiel. And he brags to his friends about this. The other one is Jeff Bezos, Amazon, and Elon Musk are doing all this space travel research because they want to escape, let us die, and go live either in space stations on Mars. So this is literally their plan, and that's why they talk about SpaceX. And he says that everybody who lives with him on Mars will have to follow the Elon Musk corporate rules. In other words, he will be king of Mars. So what would you say to these rich guys?
I'd say let him be king of Mars. Let him go. Those three people you just described is what I'm talking about, fear. They're running. They're going to start something else. Instead of clearing it up here and making things right and helping to pass these bills and get the children out of cages, you're still going to keep running. You'll never stop running. And that's fear to me. When I see a man that constantly has to move, has to design something that's even better, has to do where I'm king now, that's a fearful man. They're one of the richest men in the world. Well, who's really their friends? Do they trust anybody? Are you my friend, or do you just want to be my friend because I'm rich and I can take you to Mars? Mars don't want them. Mars would have took them a long time ago, beamed them up or whatever. But they're running in fear, and like they say, you can't take your money with you. So why aren't you helping the next generations here, right now, the homeless? We have a huge homeless population, and they're hungry. But this man can fly to Mars? No. I say let's sabotage his little plane, and how's he gonna live? There's no gas stations. There's no restaurants.
We also don't have any way to deal with the gamma radiation there. Lead doesn't help with gamma radiation, it's too heavy. What's interesting is, what the best barrier is for gamma radiation as you get in space or on Mars? Water.
Yeah.
But water is also too heavy to bring. And if you read what happens if you're getting long-term, moderate levels of gamma radiation, it's terrible how you will die. It's like one of the worst ways to die ever. And in part of the interviews with these rich people, they asked the scientists, so when money is no longer worth anything, how do you think we should control our security guards? Should we put shock collars on them? Shock collars. So that's literally how they think.
Yeah, and that goes way back, how they used to enslave people. It's that mind control. It reminds me of that story of the elephant that was constantly chained, and it could only go maybe a foot in this circle, and after so many years they took the chain off and that elephant would never leave. So that's the same thing with those chalk collars. It's a mind control method that they think of doing, and that's subliminal. You put on a speaker 24/7 like Jim Jones did, and continuously be feeding people the same thing over and over and over. Even when they sleep, they wake up and they're there. So that mind control has got to stop. And somebody who thinks they can do that to human beings, can you imagine what they do to animals?
Yes.
To me, it's violence. absolute violence.
Now, the scientist's answer to that. Scientist's answer to that question was, well, if you treat your security guards like family now, they'll be loyal to you later. They laughed at it. They laughed at the idea that, you know, they just thought, oh, stupid hippie kind of derisive laughter. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions?
Yes, one is what are the conditions of the indigenous communities here in the United States? For one reason, the environmental damages, and second, for the pandemic.
What do the indigenous people feel?
Yes, the situation of by the pandemic, in what conditions the pandemic has created damages to the community, and also the environmental situation, the pollution.
Well, the biggest fear for indigenous people comes from back when the military gave us disease blankets full of smallpox, and they pump poisons in us all the time. We're treated like guinea pigs, and then we suffer later for what they thought was going to be okay, and it's not. So being experimental rats is horrifying, and you know, it's hard to answer that kind of question because indigenous people live all over Turtle Island. So what might be harmful for us here in the United States is different from our indigenous relatives in the Amazon, where they're destroying the rainforest. And so with the pandemic, I think it's a type of subliminal message that they have done and created. And when Trump didn't do anything to help people, and they said that only the rich were going to get that vaccine, did you see the pandemic of fear? He wanted that fear so people would scramble and start putting supplies away, like the toilet paper, the water, the meat. People were actually on Facebook saying all the stores were out of this, so it created even more fear. And they had all these supplies, they have that vaccine, and they didn't release it. I thought about getting that vaccine because of the historical trauma from before. I don't know what they're injecting in my body. I don't know the outcome in a few weeks, maybe a few months, that I might be growing another arm, another nose. Who knows? But because I was with an elder last week, I decided, you know, I can't put my auntie in jeopardy, so my husband and I took that shot. But we're still leery because we have to. It wasn't a choice. We have to protect each other.
Yeah, we were talking about the problems of the indigenous in the Amazons. I am from Colombia, where there is a genocide right now, killing every day indigenous communities, the leaders, the elder brothers, the social movement, in other words. How we can create some links to have this solidarity internationally with the people of the rainforest, because it's the resources of the water, it's the major resources of the water and the oxygen from the planet. How will you help us in that situation?
It comes back to, it needs to go back to matriarchal societies, to have grandmothers' councils everywhere that are truly for the people, the spiritual leaders, not these man-made appointed positions that they get, and then they get these top-paying jobs, but then you've got families that work in that same building that are barely making minimum wage. So they're making people fight against each other. And a good example about that is how the government has categorized us if we're federally recognized or non-federally recognized. My own blood sister was non-federally recognized, but I was federally recognized. So we got the medical, the dental, and all of those where they had to fight for it. That's not fair. If you're from the same bloodline, you have that lineal descent, you are that person. You are from that tribe. With these others, I see a lot of the misogynistic patriarchy that is infiltrating here and vice versa. Who are we to go to the Amazon and tell them we're going to burn this all up because we need to put cattle here to feed them in the States at Burger King or McDonald's? That's not for us to say. That's their homeland. How dare you do that to them? They should be able to sit at the table and say, no, you're not burning down our rainforest. You're not taking our land. And we, as United States citizens, should be standing in solidarity with them against these corporate, greedy bastards that are doing this to people.
Imagine huge pipes of steel carrying through her. If you think that doesn't hurt, you're wrong. Anything we do to our Mother Earth affects us, no matter where we are, where we come from, what nationality or religion we are. It affects us. It will always affect us. In our soil alone is bones from our missing and murdered indigenous people from all over here. That's why we have to stop the building of new buildings everywhere. When we have empty buildings, why are we still putting more buildings up when we have homeless and hunger everywhere? Doesn't make sense to me at all, and we're here to stop it. Being part of American Indian Movement, Foothills, Central California, is pairing up with the missing and murdered indigenous people. We will no longer allow men to mistreat us, to abuse us, to exploit us, rape us, molest us, including our men and our young children. We have to have these children in cages released today. So all of this affects every single fiber of what we're doing out here right now. And I'm proud of each and every one that's here, that's slinging paint everywhere, that's going to be seen all over the world. You guys had a huge part in this. Every step you take is a prayer. Remember that. Every step, every word. So when you see an injustice happening to someone, say something. That's what it takes. Not for us to just stand around and say, well, it's none of my business. It is our business. It will always be our business. And women will not be quiet, ever, because we're the sacred life givers. We will always be back, and we will protecting our 7 generations to come. We're even the ones who are here for our ancestors from 7 generations back. There is a saying that we carry our grandmother's eggs, and that my grandchildren carry my eggs. That is a huge, important part that us women play, always across sacred indigenous land. So as I stand here and look around at the red, yellow, black, and white, I want to know how much you guys mean to me. And please come up and talk to us. Come look at our mural. It's beautiful. It's no more man camps. I don't know if you know what man camps are, but they are the ones who are stealing our women and our children and selling them in human trafficking, and that's got to stop also. So, as you see down at the end here, we have our red healing lodge with the white handprints of our missing and murdered, and the day that they went missing or were murdered. And we're still looking for those that are missing to bring them home. One right here in San Francisco was murdered, Jessica Alba, and the medical examiner listed it as suicide. How dare they? That's going to be turned around. So as we have somebody here coming up to prevent the talk, it's because we're on the right page. Absolutely on the right page. This is what they send to start trying to make it minimalized, and it's not going to happen because everybody hears me, everybody will hear me. I will never be quiet. Oh, to all my religions.
I live here in Oakland, occupied Ohlone territory. I'm here with folks to paint the street right here in front of our federal building. We're painting it with these beautiful images all over here to demand the rights of Mother Nature and to ensure that our government takes action to stop line 3. All life is sacred. I'm here because I'm here to protect life, protect water, live in my community here. I'm grateful to be making something beautiful as part of our act of really claiming the beauty of life together and us valuing life together.
Okay, what would you like to tell the people? What else would you like to what's the message for the people today?
Yeah, the message is let's stop valuing money, let's stop valuing profit over our planet. We have to stop looking at money as the most valuable thing, think about life as the most valuable thing, life is sacred. Let us stop line 3.
Great.